Hey guys, Demir and Carrie here from Lifehack Bootcamp.
Yeah, it's so fine to say, turn off your notifications, close your email, but what if the distractions in your life are coming from the people in your life?
That's terrible. So distractions in open space offices or in companies with a culture of chit-chatting is a real threat to your productivity and actually getting work done.
So if you have a colleague who just loves to come up to your desk and tap you on the shoulder, or if you're sick of getting urgent emails from your boss or your client who expects you to just drop everything at a moment's notice.
Or if you feel like you can't draw boundaries at work, if that's something that's really difficult for you, then listen on. We're going to be sharing the psychology behind these distractions, and we're going to show you 5 ways you can combat them without being rude or insensitive. Ready to get started?
So here's the problem with these office distractions. According to top psychologist Gloria Mark, she says the impact of just a few distractions can mean hours of lost productivity in your day. In fact, she says it's generally counterproductive if you're working on one task and then you're interrupted on a completely different topic altogether, because people have to shift their cognitive resources or attentional resources to a completely different topic. And so it takes you a while to get into it, and it takes you a while to get back and remember where you were.
Absolutely. In fact, she says it takes up to 25 minutes when you're interrupted to get back to your original task and regain that level of focus. That's absolutely crazy.
That's crazy.
So how can you stop these distractions? Or are we helpless to the office culture, to our bosses, to our leadership team? Are we helpless, or can we stop it? We can stop it. And it might not feel like you're in control, but the truth is, you are. You need to focus on what is in your control.
Right, rather than what isn't, because otherwise we'd just be complete victims to our circumstances. And if that's our attitude, then our lives aren't really ever going to be able to improve.
Yeah, absolutely. We call this taking extreme ownership, but we'll talk about that in another video. So, taking an attitude of full responsibility, you want to look for situations in your workday and in your office environment where you've actually trained people that it's okay to interrupt and distract you.
Right, so either by responding willingly to their requests when they tap you on the shoulder, or even welcoming them by turning around and giving them a big smile. What else are they supposed to think but that this is a behavior you welcome and encourage?
So once you recognize this, these distractions become something you can start to control. And even if your workspace is just distraction central, if you're right in the middle of it, there are ways that you can control your environment.
Right, so the crucial hack here is to reset the expectations of your clients, of your boss, of your colleagues by having clear communication rules and consistent behavior that actually trains them in the way you'd like them to communicate with you.
Okay, so here's 5 hacks that you can try out that are going to reduce the number of annoying distractions that you get that pull you off your game during your day.
All right, hack number 1. Leave your desk to work behind a closed office door elsewhere in your building. Tell your boss in advance, I'm going to be over here, and tell her what important project you're going to get done during this time.
Yeah, like, hey, I'm going to be going to conference room A. I'm going to be working on this important client project that we're working on. I just need some distraction-free space. So if you need me, come by there and I'll be there. But I'll have the deliverables to you after I'm done.
If you already have an office door, that's fantastic. Simply tell your employees that you'll be closing it to work uninterrupted in 25-minute work intervals, but that they'll be able to drop by at any time when you're in between those work sprints. So this is going to put them at ease because they know they have a clear way to reach you.
Hack number 2, you've got to train your coworkers to stop interrupting you, because when they come up and say, hey, you have a minute, and you always say, yeah, sure, you're basically training them that that's okay. So you need to retrain yourself to say something more along the lines of, actually, I'm in the middle of a work block. I'll be done in 20 minutes. Can I come by your desk then?
Yeah, or no, I'm actually in the middle of a work block now. Can you email me, or can you try me again this afternoon? All right, the next hack is to establish a clear time block for the interruption. So if someone says, hey, do you have a minute? You can say, yes, I only have 3 minutes before I start my next work block. Is this something we can discuss in that time frame?
This is called time boxing. This is where you actually take something and put a box around it and say, hey, A second doesn't necessarily mean an hour, and it doesn't necessarily mean 15 minutes. I have exactly 3 minutes. Is that enough time? And this really puts it on them to come back and say, oh, well, I guess it's not a minute. It's really more like 30 minutes, right? Number 4, be laser focused on your priorities. I know it's easy to get those urgent emails from your boss or your client that want to pull you off track, but you want to clarify to them, hey, I'll take care of this, but it's going to set me back a day on that big priority that you want me to do.
Yeah, and the best way to set those priorities is to set them in advance, because this way, when new urgent things come onto your plate, your client and your boss recognizes that this changes what you had previously agreed upon. It changes the plan.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 5, you want to create a communication policy for how people reach you.
Yes, so this is crucial. You're going to want to explain this to your clients by making it clear how this actually is going to help them get better results from you.
Absolutely.
So we actually have a policy we want to share with you called our cut, bleeding, dying policy.
Yeah.
That we use with all of our clients. So can you walk them through this a little bit?
Yeah, I think everybody in the world should have a communication policy. Communication policy is just a one-page written document that says, here's how I can be reached, here's when you can reach me, here's when I'll respond, and if you need to get me in a hold of an emergency, here's when to do it and when not to do it, right? And it's just so simple. So our policy is called cut, bleeding, dying. Right? And so cut is really simple. It's just the everyday sort of paper cuts that clients and everybody gets. And what we say is if this happens to you, email it to us. That's the best way to reach us, and we will get back to you in 48 hours. What that does is sets that expectation that says, I know this is important, but 48 hours is my normal turnaround time, right? Then there's bleeding.
Yeah, so bleeding would be for slightly more urgent issues. And so for bleeding issues, they can email us, they can put, urgent in the subject line, and they can expect a response quicker than 48 hours.
Yeah, usually within 12 to 24 hours. So that's just something that gives them a little bit of opportunity to say, hey, this issue is slightly more important. And then, of course, there's dying. Cut, bleeding, dying. And dying means what?
So dying is the last level of our communications, and this better be like a really, really bad issue. So they can either email us and expect an immediate response if the subject line has the word emergency in it, or they can also call us on our cell phone to be able to get us a little bit sooner.
But it better be an emergency. If people abuse that, we're very clear that, hey, this is a privilege, it can be lost. You have my cell phone right now, you can call me, but if you abuse it, you won't have cell phone privileges. So there's 3 ways to reach us. Cut for everyday problems, bleeding for something that's a little bit more urgent, and dying. Now notice that for most of you, our dying is your everyday communication policy, right? Every single person in the world has your phone and they're calling you for any issue. So this is tiering those issues a little bit and communicating with people and setting that communication that, hey, I build in 24 to 48 hours for turnaround times on my average normal communications.
Bonus hack here, if you're in an open space office environment, simply use headphones while you're working. The bigger headphones, the better, right? You want to give other people in the office that visual signal that you are in a focused work block and you do not want to be interrupted.
Absolutely. Guys, go ahead and share your strategies for managing your office distractions in the comments below. I want you to educate us. And we're also going to add some links to the articles below that we absolutely love where you can learn more about combating workplace distractions.
All right, see you in the comments, guys.